Hello Year 7, this is Mrs. Lane. This is task 2 of the David Hockney work that we're going to be doing this term. Last lesson you had a look at some of his landscapes and looked at some of the textures and marks that are in some of the landscapes that he's made. What we're going to be doing this lesson is carrying on with looking a little bit more in detail with some of the landscapes that he's made and looking at the mark making. Now this is carrying on from some of the work that you did last term with me back in September when we looked at mark making and we just used pencil. This time we're going to have a go with some colour, and what I'd like you to do is find some of the images by David Hockney that you really like. You can either put them in a PowerPoint or just have them up on the screen next to you whilst you're working. And then when you find some of the pictures, I'd then like you on a piece of paper to draw out some boxes, so you can have them like mine if you like, where they're all grouped together, or you can have them separated. It's entirely up to you. And then what we'll do is you can do this in any material of your choice. So I've got today just some felt tip pens and some colour pencils, but you can do this if you have a drawing tablet. You can do it on a drawing tablet if you like, or you can do it with paint or any material that you have at home. It doesn't have to be anything too fancy. It can be with whatever you're comfortable with, but try and get some colour if you can. So I'm just having a look at some of these David Hockney pictures here, and what I'm going to recreate is some of the textures that we see. So I'm just going to zoom in on this picture here. And I'm not going to try and draw the entire landscape, but what I want to do is have a practice with some of the textures. So for example, with that space there, we've got a lighter green and we've got some darker green specks on the top. So I'm just going to pick a random box. It doesn't matter which box you start with. I'm just going to start with one in the middle because it's easier for me. And I'm going to go with the colour that I think is best suited for underneath. So underneath here we have a sort of like a lightish green, and again I'm doing mine in pencil crayon, but you can do yours in whatever material that you like. So what I'm going to do in this box here is try and recreate that section of the Hockney landscape. So this block here is going to be similar to that one that's on the photograph. I'm just going to get that box filled in first with green, and it's this quite light green that I'm using. There we are. Okay, so when you're using your colour, just make sure that you're blending really neatly. I don't want any scratchy lines yet for this one because that's quite a smooth green under there. Try and blend that as smooth as we can. So we've got that first layer in there, and then what you'll notice is on the top of that section there, I'll zoom in a bit more, there we are, this bit here we've got a sort of speckling of darker green. So you can use whatever material you like for that. You can change it, so if for example you wanted to put on the top some felt tip pen, then you can put some felt tip pen on, that's not a problem. But I'm going to get this this darker green, and I'm going to try and recreate some of these darker marks on top of this lighter green. So again, if you look at the picture closely, they aren't perfectly even. All the shapes are slightly different, so don't worry about trying to make your darker green shapes the same. You can see that they're all quite different, each of them. And some of them are a little bit more spaced out as we come down towards the bottom. So I might do that with mine, try and add a bit more space in between. And again, as I say, you don't have to do this by hand, you can do it on a drawing tablet. I know some of you are using that. You can do it with paint, any material that you like. So we've got there that sort of first box completed. Okay, the next one, I'm going to try and recreate this greeny yellow section here, but I'm not going to do it right next door because obviously that's already green in there. So I'm going to do it in a different box just so that we can have a bit of a difference in colour. And this time I'm going to show you a technique that you can use with felt tip pen and water. So what you can actually do with felt tip pen is use water over the top so that it almost turns it into a paint colour. So what I'm going to do, I've got my green and my yellow here, and I've got a pot of water and a paintbrush ready. Have that ready just in case your ink dries out, because what you want to do when you're using water with felt tip pens is you want to use it fairly quickly so the ink doesn't dry out too much. So what you're then going to do is have a go, and if it doesn't work out straight away, don't worry. Just by putting a little bit of that green down in that one corner there. Now do your pen work before you do the water, because otherwise if you try and put felt tip pen back over the top of the water, it won't work as well. So now with my yellow, I'm going to go up towards this green here in this section. And slightly overlapping, there we are. Okay, then I'm going to get some water, and if I use my brush over the top of my felt tip pen, you can see that the water activates the ink in the pen and it almost turns it into watercolour paint. So we've got just some water over the top of that yellow, so it's kind of almost turning it a sort of yellowy green. There we are, and that's just by using the water and the felt tip pens. Okay, Year 7, there we have it, a page of different mark making and textures inspired by David Hockney. What I've done is added a black border just to finish off and a little title. Once you've done your mark making page, if you can then take a photograph of it and upload it onto your exit ticket or email it to me through your Google Classroom. Good luck everyone, I can't wait to see the results.